1.4643 in the PM with 7 minutes. Sam Shepard talked about the play, the theater experience, as being something that's controlled in the present moment. So the lighting guy was not exactly operating off a computer board. He was operating off the play, because the play could change. Yeah, right there in front of the audience. You know, it is the actor's medium. There's Cosmignana. It was the night before Christmas. And it can change immediately. You never know. It's the actor's medium. It'll always be. The theater will. The stage. It belongs to the actor. It doesn't matter about the director. Look, the director's not going to go up there. Sometimes they do at the end and get a little applause. The writer sometimes is called for, not as much as the director. But the writer's not going to do anything other than fine them. Yeah, the writer will be sitting there throwing flags and getting them fined, especially on Broadway, as in New York. They can get in trouble if they go off on their little rant. Like, what is he talking about? I didn't write about spaghetti. I wrote about lasagna. Now, that can happen, but it's always going to be the actor's medium. The actor controls the theater. Film, it's becoming the actor too. It's the director, but it does become it's the director and the editor. Tom Noble had a lot of power in Hollywood. Tom Noble, yeah. He directed, well, he didn't, I don't know if he directed, he might have directed, but he was the editor on not Wolverines, I'm sorry. He was the editor on Red Dawn. Remember, Wolverines, Three Dog Night, and Little Rubber Band. John Milius directed that one, which is Red Dawn. He worked with Tom Noble. Tom Noble has an Oscar on his mantle at home for being an editor for a movie called Witness, which is with Harrison Ford, Lucas Hahn, this beautiful woman. I can't think of her name right now. But she played an Amish lady. And I rehearsed in Tom Noble's house with Diane Salinger from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So that was the first step into Hollywood for me. Within a week. It was less than a week almost. Actually, I didn't even drive to Hollywood until I had pretty much talked to Diane. I mean, I went there a couple times just for sightseeing. I get, one of those actor magazines, which landed me in Long Beach jail because of the police and sheriff support fund. I needed some type of job. And Diane's ad is right there as an acting coach. She worked with Stella Adler. Stella Adler worked with a guy named Marlon Brando. And so, I get a phone call, or she gets a phone call, or somebody gets a phone call, and she's like, I'm Diane Salinger. I said, Diane Salinger, can I ask, what have you done? I was in, and she listed all this stuff. I worked with Clint Eastwood, I worked with blah, blah. I was like, oh, I still didn't know who she was. I always thought, now, Diane, this is nothing against you. Don't get upset. But I, for a moment, thought that Simone from Pee-wee's Big Adventure was a transvestite. Because she has what's called the it girl. So did Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn could have been a transvestite, yeah. And I thought, oh, Simone's a real woman. And she's just, she was very pretty. Diane was very pretty. She was very nerve-wracking to be around. But yeah, she had worked with William Hurt, Woody Allen, Clint Eastwood. She was the psychologist in Ghost World. And she had worked with Stella Adler and lived in New York and was an actress and everything, and was teaching us the trade. So I was like, who's Tom Noble? I had no idea when I was there. When I was in Hollywood on Mulholland Drive. I had no idea who Tom Noble was. I saw him pick up his newspaper. I thought, who's this heavyset guy picking up a newspaper? I was like, I weighed about 157 pounds. I was 6 feet. I was very skinny. Deathly skinny. This guy loves pizza right here. He absolutely loves pizza. Anyway. So, and then I left, going, well, I need more training. I was following the steps of James Dean. I was just, I'd probably be on a television show by now. Who knows? Hanging out with Pam. So the guy's love affair with pizza is amazing. Every time I come over, he has a little bit of tears in his eyes with a big happy smile like a little kid. I don't know, I haven't met his wife. I think she might have picked up one time for him. But he's like, I am so happy to see you. And I had him the pizza, and he's like, he's not ordering today though, but he really enjoys pizza. It's that guy right there. He got a little thingy on it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that dude. Let me see something. He's a really cool dude though. He's like really nice and everything. Reminds me of Dana Schulte's husband, Justin Flowers. Right here, there we go. It's this dude right here, a little bit different. Oh, they got a Christmas tree. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. This one. 3.0 mile, 11 minutes. We'll be there at 6:59. Hello. Hello. I can't think of how hello goes. Hello. I know there's Todd Rundgren. That one I'm probably going to listen to in a minute. I should buy that one. That was the one that Mark David Chapman liked. He was Mark David Chapman was a big fan of Todd Rundgren, and at one time thought he was John Lennon, until he bought a 38 revolver. It was basically 5 slots, and it was a charter gun. Got on one knee and emptied 4 bullets, 3 of them going through John Lennon's chest, and then one hitting the aorta, killing him almost instantly. He died on the way to the hospital. He said something about Sean, I think, and he also said something about Julian. And those were his last words to Oko in the ambulance. He was pronounced dead at the Roosevelt, I think, hotel. I mean, I'm sorry, Roosevelt Hotel. I think the hospital's called Roosevelt. It wasn't a hotel, it was a hospital. And I think it happened, I better find out when that happened. I should know that. Why do I want to say December? It was in 1980 though, for sure. It was happening in 1980. Oko is right next to him. But Todd Rundgren, yeah, he was, Mark loved him. I think Mark is still around, maybe? I know Hinckley was released. Hinckley was released and is doing his shopping. He likes to shop. Hello, it's me. I thought about us for a long, long time. seeing you, or seeing anything as much as I do. All right, 4.2. We'll be there at 7:34 in the PM. The hardest part is this thing with the blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I really like different types of play. 12 minutes. You know, I don't know what was on John Lennon's mind when he was standing before the Dakota that, I don't know, let's just say it was December. Maybe October, I don't know. Maybe God. Remastered. God is a concept. Which we measure. Right. So, I don't know, man. You know, he was against war. You know. And Mark David Chapman was delusional. You could say it was an act of God. People can. God's like, oh, I'm a concept? Let's talk about that in heaven. We don't know. Right, kitty? Meow, 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 meow. I don't believe in magic. Doom, 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 doom. I don't believe in critter. Doom, 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 doom. I don't believe in Kia GPS. Doom, 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 doom. I don't believe in Jacksboro Highway. Do, 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 do. I don't believe in pizza. Do, 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 do. I don't believe in marinara sauce with garlic bread and butter. Do, 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 do. I don't believe in skylines of Fort Worth. Do, 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 do. I don't believe in Gaza. I don't believe in Israel. But I do believe. And I believe in Linda. And everything that he gave me. It's a powerful song. It doesn't go like that. But it was personal to John Lennon, because John Lennon was writing about the things that he studied and the things that he understood. And it's a powerful song. It's called God. And it's you know, if you ever go to Central Park, go to Imagination and see it on the ground. There's flowers and people playing John Lennon songs. There are people that believe in John Lennon. And at times he did talk about crucifixion. He prophesized that death. Not exactly. He didn't know who Mark David Chapman was. He met him before. He met him, I think, the night before it happened. He talked to him for a little bit. He was a fan. And that's a scary thing. It's an important play that I wrote, chapter 27. They turned it into a movie with Jared Leto. That journal was found in a storage unit, probably in Soho. That was my journal. It was pink. It had I Love Poochie on it. That was written by a man that was an insurance salesman that loved my sister. That was my sister's journal. I turned the other part of it. She was going to use it to be it was before she was going to be a nurse. She was going to use it to be a helper to a lawyer. I forgot their names. They help lawyers, regardless of their names. They're like a lawyer assistant. They help with litigation and things like that. But anyway, she turned into a nurse and married a cop, and then she divorced and then married, it was like a nurse's, some kind of administration thing in the hospital, some guy that was up in the administration of a hospital, and then she just moved on. But, meaning she moved on from marriage. I mean, she's still around. She was a nurse she got involved in the hospice business. you know what hospice is. But anyway, I've done some hospice delivery for medicines and stuff, and on this channel. That's where they're delivering pain medicine to hospice patients and stuff. And she also did pharmaceutical too. Pharmaceutical is a huge business. But that journal was turned into a one-act play about Mark David Chapman called Chapter 27. Whether they found it or not, or it's coincidence, it could be coincidence, I don't know. Jared Leto would probably know, maybe. The writer would know, and the director. It didn't do well. They lost money on that movie. Jared Leto did pretty good. He's heavy set in it. He ate ice cream and soy sauce. Found out about it in the theater. But yeah, so it's an important aspect of our time, because people were like, well, why would someone shoot a peace activist? Well, why would someone shoot Gandhi? You know, but yeah, John Lennon, if it was an act of God, then, you know, we have to accept that. But Vietnam finally did end before 1980. And what he would go on to do, I don't know. It's probably revolutionized his son's music, as well as his Julian and Sean's music would have been revolutionized. They're doing pretty good. But if John was still alive, they would have been iconic for sure, I think, because they could have all worked together. Kind of like Willie Nelson and his sons. They worked together too. It's a sad situation. I don't condone what Mark David Chapman did. I think what he did was completely wrong. I think it was evil. I wasn't glamorizing it. I did not turn it into a play because, well, what's his name? Lou Reed was doing an interview on MTV or something. He said in the interview, and I was in the process of reading about Mark David Chapman and writing the play, and he said, you know, that would be like if someone wrote a play about Mark David Chapman and made him the star. He's called the man with no name. So Lou Reed was very upset that Mark David Chapman's name was even noticed. But he is famous. He is, I think he did go into an insane asylum. I don't know if he went to prison. I don't know for sure. They said that he said he like heard voices and things like that. But the play is a smaller play than the movie. The play is more about his like teenage years when he was dropping acid in Florida. And it does get into him meeting John Lennon in front of the Dakota. I would like to maybe revisit it maybe one day, if I get up to a level and a playwright, to revisit like the, you know, I guess in a way they focused a lot on the Holden Caulfield and Catcher in the Rye and the delusions. And I don't know for sure if I was going to do that in the play. I don't know if he was going to turn to the audience and talk to the audience. So we weren't getting his inner thoughts. I think in the play we were just going to get his actions and maybe some stuff that he did in the hotel. But he was going to be seen as a person that was lost and that was confused and that patiently waited to execute probably one of the largest or biggest or iconic rock stars in history. All right, so I was making a political statement. I mean, I do believe Israel's around. I believe God's is around, and I do believe pizza's around. I do believe marinara sauce. I was just trying to say that because we're at war right now, and to be honest, I do believe the fact that Israel has the right to protect themselves, but I'm gonna have to lay it down and say that other people do too. All right. I know they were crazy. They went in during the music fest and slaughtered a bunch of people, and that's wrong. That's very wrong. But man, babies were killed. Come on. You know? Those people have the right to defend themselves as well. And the only way that we're going to get peace is if we lay down our weaponry. The problem in the situation is that we're not going to. We're always going to have to find a reason to fight. And a lot of people do. There's some Jews that don't believe that they should bomb Gaza. These kids are like at school. You know, and all of a sudden they're blown to pieces. It's happened. We have video footage, people. It's like Vietnam over there. It's pretty bad. So is Gaza right? Well, there, you know, this hidden cell that attacked Israel, there were like 2,000 soldiers that attacked and killed. Was it 2,000 soldiers? It was like 900 soldiers or something. And they killed like 3,000 Israel. That's wrong. I don't support that. But I also don't support bombing people in their homes so that they can kill some weird terrorist that's living in their basement. You know what I mean? So are they both wrong? I think so. I believe that. I believe that the only way we're going to have peace is to understand that we're ferocious animals. We're also people. And that when we can be mature and say, hey, hang on for a minute. Let's put down our guns and let's find a way to say, look, I was wrong for going in. Or, you know, one side say I was, you know, they would say, you know, it was wrong to go in and do the whole attack on, you know, the concert and kill all those people and blow up people's arms and stuff. And then the other side say, well, look, I was wrong for flying over and dropping bombs. And then all of a sudden, you know, because Vietnam was about ideals. It was about ideology. John Lennon was talking about, he didn't believe in like witchcraft, and he didn't believe in these ideas and thoughts, and maybe he says Buddhism and stuff. I'll have to listen to the song. But he was saying that he only believed in what was real, that he could like touch and feel and be a part of. He didn't want to have a reason, an ideal to fight. He didn't want an ideal for war. The lines in it is, God is a concept by which we measure our pain. Ultimately, what I think John Lennon's song God is about is that he was cleansing himself of ideals, of beliefs that could interfere with the most precious things that maybe God has given him, because the song is acknowledging God, denying him, which is the first thing Adam and Eve kind of did. They denied his commands. They became enemies of God. But he states that he does believe in himself, and he does believe in Oko. But he no longer believed in Zimmerman. He no longer believed in the Beatles. He no longer believed in Buddha. He no longer believed in yoga concepts. He no longer believed in Indian concepts. Now, the thing about Jesus is not everyone that follows the Messiah calls him that. He has other names. For example, the name of salvation, which is Yeshua. Some people follow Jesus Christ, but they don't believe in the name Jesus. They believe the name is Yeshua, which means salvation. Okay? So they actually call him a different name. And many of the denominations, Baptist, even Catholic probably, but mostly like Baptist and non-denomination, and even you could say Protestant, they're going to say the name of Jesus. Okay, that's the name of names. But has anyone told them about Yeshua, which is salvation? So he doesn't mention anything about Yeshua in the song. But he does mention all these other names and these ideals and these things that he doesn't believe in. Christian means little Christ. He doesn't say the word Christ. Not that I know of. Okay? So you have to, before you point fingers and you say John Lennon was this, you have to really understand what he was talking about. He was talking about the belief in himself, but he was also talking about the belief in Yoko, which was his wife. Those were the things he would fight for. Even though he was a peace activist, he would defend that. I think he would. He tried, at least, you know. And also in God, which is written by John Lennon, he talks about the dream being over. He may be talking about the dream of the Beatles. Because after Zimmerman, he says, I don't believe in Zimmerman. He's talking about Bob Dylan. He says, I don't believe in the Beatles. It's a powerful song, right? But it has its own concepts. I don't think it's a proclamation of faith, or of the opposite, a proclamation of the Antichrist, or the proclamation of atheism. I don't think it's that either. I think John Lennon got to the point where he's like, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of this concept. I've been trying to fight this war. We're trying to close down war itself. We're trying to be peace activists, but I have to have this idea, I have to have this idea, and this is taught to me. Peshui, whatever that means, right? BS. It's all BS. There's a song by Willie Nelson's song that's called Everything is BS, basically. But he strongly believed in himself and maybe his music, and then, of course, Yoko. So John Lennon does state about the Jesus thing. He says it twice in the song. But listen, I've been trained, and I'm good to know. People throw around the word Jesus every day when they stub their toe. But most have not even met Yeshua, right? Which is a different name. And the Son of God, also who rose on the third day, after the crucifixion to tell his followers that we can baptize and we can heal, and there is salvation. That's what Yeshua is. Yeshua is salvation. It doesn't mention that name. That name later found its way into New York City, and I came across believers of Yeshua after 9/11 or during 9/11, while the buildings were burning. I had people approach me with a pamphlet saying, "We are believers in Christ," basically is what they were saying. They didn't say it that way, but they had a pamphlet. I used to have that pamphlet. My first wife probably has it, but it says on it that they were Messianic Jews, that they are Jews for Christ, basically what they were. And they gave it to me, and it was literature. They were passing it out while the buildings were burning. So they were going up to people and saying, this is the way to salvation. And these were Jewish people that were for Christ. And the pamphlet was given to my first wife, who had it, and it shows pictures of 9/11 and how they wanted to find redemption and how things like that. It's an interesting thing. I don't know for sure if you can be a follower of Yeshua and still support war and killing. I don't think that computes. I don't think it would, because Jesus was not a soldier. He was one saying, put away your swords. Those that live by the sword die by the sword. He was saying, stop fighting, is what he was saying. He said, stop fighting. He was the referee that came down. He was the defense. He was the lawyer. He was the one. He was the great counselor, the wonderful counselor. He was the one that was saying, it is time to grow up. That's what growing up means. The soldier will call you a child. It's actually quite the opposite.